podcast. It's Paul here with
Sean,
Chris,
Lee,
and
nope,
and Dan. And Dan.
and a hell of a lot of lag. From a secret bunker somewhere on a spy mission, by the sounds of things, Dan is back with us this week, we think.
I think he is. Is Dan there?
I thought I was, yeah.
Yay!
flawless start as always.
Oh, I'll tell you what, utter professionalism. So, where were we? Yeah. So it's the end of 2019, as far as Dan's concerned, because he's been in suspended animation for a year. Dan, any predictions for the 2020 F1 season?
I'm pretty sure it'll be fairly boring, though maybe someone other than Lewis will win the championship. I'm really looking forward to the first race in Australia, everything getting off the grid. The sort of years that we've got used to. It'll be great to see.
And because we couldn't be
The
bothered...
calendar's perfect for 2020, isn't it?
I mean, 23 races, how are they going to fit all those in? With no triple headers. And due to a lack of recording...
It's going to be difficult.
Due to a lack of recording time, this week's show is a repeat. So, Dan, how have you been? There are people who want to know.
Not bad, thank you. Not bad. Not been up to much, but then knows the rest of the world.
Well, not that you can tell us anyway.
Not that I can tell anyone. It's all classified.
Well, you come back on a good week because for the first time in Christ, I've no idea how long. There's actual Monday news.
Thank you, Mercedes.
Yes, that contract is all done. Lewis Hamilton has signed to Mercedes for a year.
So this is now a full grid, isn't it? We actually do know now who is in every single car.
Yes.
For now.
Yep.
Yeah. COVID permitting, or Gunter Steiner having a meltdown and doing things that he should have done by sacking drivers mid-season, if they turn out to be crap.
No, Schumacher deserves his chance.
So yeah, we've actually got a full grid. We still don't know who the Haas reserve drivers are going to be, because just on while we're talking about Steiner, he said that he would approach K-Mag and Grosjean if one of the current lineup was unable to race for whatever reason. To which K-Mag
I think they're busy.
Yeah. To which K-Mag came back 2 hours later with, "Not me, mate." He's already turned down the potential job offer. So what do we think to Lewis only signing a 1-year deal then? I know, Lee, you've always been saying it should be multi-years because the new 2022 regulations coming in and the whole formula change or the aero change. And
Yeah, and anyone that thinks this conversation about what Lewis Hamilton's doing is over is deluded. I'm seeing quite a lot of saber rattling from the Lewis Hamilton cultists about how there was never any doubt and all that sort of stuff. But it's Lewis Hamilton himself said he wanted a multi-year contract, and he's got a year's extension. So somewhere down the line, to me anyway, it feels like that they haven't reached an agreement. They've just sort of said, like, well, we need a contract for this year. And the whole of the year is going to be talks about whether they're going to re-sign again.
I mean, in American football terms, this is very similar to what they use. It's called the franchise tag, where if a player's out of contract, they sign a 1-year deal, which the NFL's got slightly different contract rules, but they just sign a 1-year deal which gives them breathing room, effectively, to try and thrash out something for longer. And as part of the terms of this, they can't be on a lower salary than they were on previously, and no other teams can approach them under certain circumstances while that 1-year deal's in place. And it just seems to me that that's what Mercedes have done with Lewis. It's like you said, they've got the 1 year, but will there be more to follow? because it's leaving it very late for a contract signing. Because normally
Yeah, it is.
Normally this is wrapped up by end of November. Not right. I know the F1 season runs into December these days, but it's normally sorted out even before the season's finished.
If I was to if I was to inject silly season before the season's even started,
We did that last year.
Yeah, I would say that this will be Lewis Hamilton's last year in Formula One. Oh yeah, there might
I
be a
think you want to
sabbatical.
crack at the new rules.
But I see there might be a sabbatical or a new break or something like that. But I've got a funny feeling that this whole idea of Enos taking Formula One over, of taking Mercedes over, will happen after next year. Because Enos are even starting to turn. Did you notice that they had a big press release last week saying that they believe the future of Formula One lies in hydrogen hybrid cars, and that they want to use Formula One as a testing ground for hydrogen power?
Unless we end up getting Formula H.
Isn't that what WEC is
yeah.
going to be from 2024?
Yeah, the LMDH when or if it finally happens.
Yeah. So I think that's going to happen.
I don't necessarily disagree that it might be his last year with Mercedes, but I would imagine he would potentially consider offers from elsewhere on the grid for 2022.
Yeah, the only other thing could be, my thing with Lewis Hamilton not signing for Mercedes is I just wanted a bit of chaos and I wanted something interesting to happen. And I wanted George Russell to get a seat. But I can also see Mercedes. Let's say Lewis didn't want to continue driving for Mercedes, because when you have such a contract negotiation that's going on here that's dragged on so long, it sounds like what Lewis was asking for was unreasonable. It sounds like Mercedes didn't want to match what he wanted from them. I can think that's the only way around, because it's not like Mercedes were offering him longer. It's the who you're negotiating with isn't going to offer you more than they're willing to give. So it does strike me that it's Lewis asking for more than Mercedes were willing to agree to. But on the other hand, I could see Mercedes not wanting Lewis to drive for another team. It's good because if you stick Lewis in another car, say he leaves and goes to Red Bull, you've got an extremely strong driver in a rival team.
Yeah, I think Lewis wants to be a Mercedes for lifer, but I think because Daily Express, UK newspaper, when they first put it up, they said that it was a rolling 1-year contract, when they do that more to follow thing. Mm-hmm. But then on the more to follow, when they did the more to follow in the bigger article, there was no mention of it being a rolling 1-year contract.
Yeah, I think there were a few places that cited rolling, but then not in the actual Mercedes statement itself.
Oh, what? The F1 press put 2 and 2 together and
made something up?
Yeah. Made orange. That never happens. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this story plays out for the rest of the year, because there's going to be rumours of contract negotiations coming from June, I reckon.
Easily earlier than that, I reckon.
I don't think Lewis Hamilton's going to win the World Championship because of this. I think this is Valtteri Bottas's. Yeah, this is Valtteri Bottas's best, possibly only chance to win a World Championship. Let's look at what happened last time he had. Last time Lewis Hamilton had something that destabilised him and upset him within a team, Nico Rosberg won a World Championship. And if you've had heated negotiations, I can hear myself really badly.
I can hear
Lee on double.
No, I can hear you all double.
Is somebody using speakers instead of headphones?
No.
I am, yes.
I said you were the devil in podcast form. If this contract is dragged on so long, and I don't care regardless of how successful you've been in the past, when you're dealing with contracts worth tens of millions of dollars with companies that you're asking for a share in their revenue and things like that, these things are personal. And I think Lewis Hamilton, being as successful as he is, and turning around to Mercedes and saying, I want you to stay for 3 years, and essentially it's Mercedes not wanting to sign that contract, will cause friction. Because if nothing else, it's a knock to your ego. If you walk into to negotiate something and they're not willing to move, even halfway, even if it was for slightly less money and for 2 years, there doesn't seem to have been a lot of negotiation. There seems to have been demands. There's been a rejection, and then there's been like a 1 year sticker put over it to try and smooth things out and sort it out. We know Lewis needs an arm around him, and we've said before, a happy Lewis wins. An unhappy Lewis can spiral really quickly.
I think I would not be surprised if in the next couple of months we hear of Lewis appointing a manager, because we know the last couple of contracts he's done all the negotiations himself, and if it is getting a bit ugly, I suspect he might want to remove himself directly from that situation and put someone else in there for him. One thing that will give him a stronger hand now, in recent weeks, any negotiations that have been going on, he hasn't been able to see, well, fuck you, I'm off to Red Bull, because Red Bull have got their drivers. Whereas now, there's a lot more opportunity for next year on the grid, so he can say, well, I'm talking to this person and this person and that person. He has a slightly stronger hand now.
It would be interesting to know what the top guys have got. I'm pretty sure when Ricciardo went to Renault, that it was in his contract that he couldn't leave Renault to go to another team unless it was a Mercedes. He had it written into his contract that his get-out clause for Renault was Mercedes knocking on the door. It would be interesting to know whether he had that for McLaren, whatever way Max Verstappen could get out of his Red Bull contract if there was a Mercedes seat going. What Fernando Alonso has as well. There's plenty of top-line drivers in Formula One, but they're all under contract now.
I mean, any contract will have a buyout clause. Max Verstappen's, I think, we think that's something to do with performance in the car, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
That if he gets a certain amount of results by a certain point of the season, his contract becomes fixed for the next year. But yeah, you can essentially pay back a chunk of what you've earned and make a contract go away. That's shouldn't be an issue for anyone.
Well, it's not like that kind of thing never happens in F1.
Yeah.
Fernando's the expert at doing that.
Well, Vettel, I think he had another year on his Red Bull deal, didn't he, when he went to Ferrari?
Yeah, that's true.
There's a lot of drivers that are the contract is up at the end of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I don't think Mercedes will get rid of Lewis Hamilton is because Valtteri Bottas' contract is up also at the end of 2021.
As is George Russell's.
Yeah, and I don't think they'll re-sign. I don't think Mercedes will be a team to sign 2 new drivers, and I can see why they didn't want to give Lewis a 3-year deal, because that would then take Lewis into his 11th season with Mercedes, and that's even by any standards, 11 seasons in the same team is if something were to go wrong at any point, you've got a long contract to get out of there, whereas. Bottas, even if they re-sign Bottas for another 2 seasons, Bottas is still going to be 6-7 seasons in if they give him another 1 or 2 year deal. So, who's the stronger hand that you go for there? I think Hamilton's got to want to race the 2022 regulations. I think I do agree with what Lee said about this being a plaster. Stick a plaster over it for this year. Get this year out of the way. Hopefully, there'll be less COVID complications. People will be able to meet up and talk a bit more as the year goes on, and there'll be a deal done for 2022 at some point during 2021. But it does feel like this is a bit of a sticky plaster deal that could upset the apple cart a little bit.
I'm not sure it is necessarily in Lewis's interest to drive the 2022 rules straight away, because let's be dead boring, yeah, and say that it's going to be business as usual this year. We're going to have some good races, but ultimately,
hang on, let's be dead boring. All right. Hi, welcome to For Formula One's Sake.
Whoa, shade.
It's a deep burn.
Sorry.
Do they still do things?
I've not seen them.
Can we be really arrogant, obnoxious? Hi, we're WTF1.
Another deep burn.
No, but let's just be dead boring and say, like, we're going to get a similar season to last year. We're going to have some good races, but ultimately, over the course of the season, it's going to be quite plain that Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes are going to walk away with a championship each again. Lewis walks out of Formula One at the end of next year, the most successful driver ever to step into a Formula One car. He can quite comfortably walk away, calling himself the greatest of all time. He can go away for a sabbatical, let 2022 happen, let it known that he needs to take a year out of Formula One and that he wants to come back in the future. So every top team knows that the greatest driver in Formula One wants to come back. So they might take that into consideration when you're looking at contract negotiations. Spend the year on the sidelines negotiating your new contract when you see how the pecking order is going to shuffle out. Because realistically, if there's a seat available, someone like Lewis Hamilton could step out of Formula One for 12 months and then step back into whichever team gets it right. That's what I'd do if I was him. Because if he doesn't, he risks like tarnishing his own legacy, because all of a sudden, if he ends up in a car that's not as good as the Mercedes and stops being the dominant Lewis Hamilton, his legacy will be, oh, well, he won all those championships because of Mercedes.
I'm not sure I agree about being able to step back into any team.
Yeah.
If Ferrari get it right, they're not going to say, oh, well, Charles, yeah, we've built you up all through your career, but now we've got a better offer, so off you go.
Absolutely.
He is going to be a Ferrari driver.
I absolutely disagree. I think
it would be Carlos Sainz that's under threat.
But I think either or. I think Ferrari to have Lewis Hamilton drive a Ferrari, they would take either of those drivers around the back of the garage with a shotgun.
If the car's obviously doing well, the driver's obviously doing well as well. You're not going to have a situation where, oh, that Ferrari looks really good. It's a shame neither of their drivers can make it win. So they will have the World Championship. In which case, why do they need to spend the money on Lewis? Same with Red Bull.
Because Lewis Hamilton, regardless of how much he costs, is much more marketable than both of those guys.
But by that point, they might have Mick.
And that's the...
I think I
and
don't
that's the
think...
thing as well. I think.
Sorry, go on.
Mate.
I was just going to say I hope Mick Schumacher becomes a fine Formula One driver. I don't think he'll ever be top tier level, not like Lewis Hamilton or his dad.
If he is, though, and if he's in a Ferrari at that point, he will shift the gear. He will be very marketable.
Maybe, but I mean, again, Lewis Hamilton is even more than Schumacher, to be perfectly honest, because even when Schumacher was in Ferrari and he was winning, he was a very famous Formula One driver. He was never as big as Lewis Hamilton is. Outside of that, hitting that David Beckham, Tiger Woods sort of ascending your own sport sort of.
He was. Michael Schumacher was that driver that anyone could name if they were asked to name a Formula One driver.
I don't think we saw that. I don't think we saw it as much over here. But
No, but I don't think he had the exposure, because the difference is that I think where Lewis likes the extra exposure that he gets from being like celebrity Lewis Hamilton. Like the reason Schumacher was so successful in a different way to Lewis was he was just a machine. He was a Formula One machine.
But I mean,
Whereas-
the Schumacher brand in Europe was infinitely bigger than it was over here. I mean, don't forget, in Britain, Schumacher was the bad guy. And that,
Oh no,
I
realise that.
Yeah,
but
and
I think,
that goes
but
back
you're
to
saying
19.
in Europe.
Yeah,
I don't think Schumacher was a global property. I think Lewis Hamilton is a global property.
but when Schumacher was winning in
And
Ferrari,
that's why I think
when Schumacher was winning in Ferrari, F1 wasn't really the global property that it is now, and I'm talking about the lack of exposure in America. Now, Lewis Hamilton has got big, and the brand Lewis Hamilton has got big, because Americans can name him now. Schumacher didn't really have the opportunity to do that because F1 wasn't, it wasn't being run by Americans with an idea of marketing. It was being,
that doesn't matter.
It was being run by a British pensioner.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter because Lewis Hamilton's playing by 2021 rules. So it doesn't matter what the past is. I'm just saying that there's no one on the grid with the length and breadth of popularity that Lewis Hamilton has.
I think the risk market leaving from
Flood's
going to
talking
a team
German.
like Ferrari.
You're gonna have to do that. You're gonna have to do that one again. You Daleks out.
I thought I heard something about risk management at one point.
No, Lewis Hamilton's not going to want to risk his long-term marketability by going to a team like Ferrari, for example, like a rival team to Mercedes. Late on in his career, he's going to want to finish his career at Mercedes so that he has that marketability alongside Mercedes after his career is over. I don't think he's going anywhere else to another team after. I think he'll retire with Mercedes, whether that's at the end of 21 or 22, whenever it is. I don't see him breaking that partnership. He's already spoken about drivers like Sterling Moss, and Tony Brooks, who were Mercedes drivers, and Mercedes looked after them. Even though Mercedes weren't in Formula One, they were always part of the Mercedes family, if you will, in inverted commas. Hamilton quite likes that. He's been Mercedes power since day one in Formula One, when McLaren were the de facto Mercedes works team, and I don't think he's going to want to break that bond. I think he wants to be that Mercedes lifer, which is going to see him much more marketable as a resource after his Formula One career is over.
Maybe.
Do you not think maybe if Mercedes become Ineos, then Hamilton back to McLaren Mercedes might be a possibility?
I still think Ferrari's the biggest opportunity. I think, to be perfectly honest, I think he'd go wherever he could go, which has got the best car. That's what it is at the end of the day for him. As for the teams and what they want to pay him, they would pay him what they think he's worth. Like personally, I still the more time is ticking on, and you can see the other drivers like that are around right now. I struggle to see how, like, if Max Verstappen's going to win a world championship still, just because he's. I wonder whether he's going to be that guy. You always have like really, really good drivers which championships just sort of escape. But I can see him making the move, like a frustration move, and getting it wrong, like a Fernando Alonso got it wrong. So
which time?
The next thing, all of the times, apart from Alpine,
every time,
apart from Alpine, because Alpine's going to win him a world championship. But I can see like Red Bull would throw money at Lewis Hamilton to get him in that car. Like the Red Bull brand with Lewis Hamilton next to it. Jesus Christ, that could make money.
I didn't think he did that many extreme sports. I think his insurers had stopped him from doing it.
Well, he's got his nasty flavour of Monster already, hasn't he? He does like an energy drink.
Nobody likes that stuff, though.
And those cans need updating because they say when you're 5-time world champion Lewis Hamilton, it's like, you might want to print some new cans.
Have they been updated, or has they just not sold out of the original batch yet because no one's buying it?
That's more likely.
That you stick that much sugar in something, that's going nowhere. That's going to be fresh for a long time.
The Doomsday Preppers got cellars full of that stuff.
No, they want stuff that's going to keep them alive.
So I think we're all of the opinion this is either a stopgap or it.
Yeah, but I mean, do you think it's?
I don't think it's it. I think it would be a sabbatical. I don't think they all come back, don't they? You know, the world champions. If they disappear,
still, I was going to say, still waiting for Rosberg.
Yeah, but like most of the races, like the really successful guys, they leave and then they come back at some point. You know, it usually not to great fanfare, but they all try and come back at some point.
Yeah, Hakkinen didn't.
He's still on a sabbatical, isn't he? I think he never actually officially retired.
No, I think he did. I think he officially ended his sabbatical in like 2016.
Yeah, I think I remember something like that.
And then he said he was making a comeback last year because he's going to do some kind of veteran sports car series.
Something like that. Well, he's doing DTM, was he, up until like 2013 or something? But yeah, I think it might affect Hamilton's performance during 2021. I think it's unlikely to affect it to the point where he's unhappy within the team. So it's very early to make sort of like championship predictions, given that we don't really know what's going on. But I think Lewis is still in a very strong position to be the favourite for this year's World Championship.
Oh, he's definitely the favourite. There's no doubt about that. But there's just something. He's easily shook, isn't he? We haven't seen him in a position where he's been challenged since Rosberg left Formula One.
And even a shaken Lewis Hamilton, I don't think Valtteri, and no disrespect to Valtteri Bottas, very good Formula One driver, but not great. I don't think he's good enough to challenge Lewis Hamilton, even when Hamilton's a little bit off kilter.
You're probably right. To be fair, you're probably right. You'd need a better Red Bull, maybe.
I think different teams are going to win races this year. I think Vettel and Aston Martin are in with a strong shout of winning races. I think McLaren and especially Daniel Ricciardo are in shout with winning races. A revived Ferrari, we don't know how well that's going to go for Ferrari. I think they might possibly win races. With which driver, nobody knows, because I don't think Carlos Sainz is widely regarded to just sit back as a number two. So it might be a more open season, but in terms of Mercedes and where they were going into 2021, I think they're still the favourites, and I think that they'll win the majority of races. And it'd be difficult difficult to see anything at the moment, sat here in February, other than another Lewis Hamilton World Championship.
If Alpine can give Alonso the same car or a better car than they give Daniel Ricciardo, I say Alonso wins a race.
That's a possibility.
Because I think there was a couple of races last year that, or at least one race last year, which I think Renault had the chance to do really well in. And I think Alonso probably would have done what Ricciardo couldn't have done.
What, make Cyril get the tattoo before he quit?
Yeah, I don't know about Alonso doing, necessarily what Ricciardo couldn't have done, but I think it is definitely likely that Alonso will do the Alonso thing of pulling that car further up the grid than it possibly should be. Yeah. And if the ducks all line up in a row, Much like in Bahrain, where or the Sakhir Grand Prix, where you've got Verstappen out of the race. One Mercedes is
I think that's the
both
race
Mercedes.
I'm thinking of. I think
Verstappen out of a race, Mercedes doing a pit stop troubles. Ferrari not there. Then I think you've certainly got room for Alonso to snatch a win or a podium.
I think you'll definitely get a podium.
I think, I'm with you on that. I think we'll see Alonso on the podium, but I don't know. I think seeing as there's not much advancement from last year's cars, I think.
Well, do you know what, mate? The listening to the boys on the race podcast talk about it and what the changes that have been made, especially to the back end of the car and stuff like that. It's much more. Like the changes that are there are much more like car changing than you think they would be for such a for such a small change.
Yeah, I said last week, didn't I? It's the chassis that are being carried through, and a lot of the car is a lot of it's the same, but also a lot of it is different. And I think McLaren are actually going in with a 100% new car,
new engine, isn't it?
Yeah, new engine, new gearbox, totally new rear end, the suspension and everything, as well as the aero changes that have been made for the rear end, for the diffuser and for the floor and for the brake duct winglets. So the whole aero philosophy of McLaren's cars had to change. We saw bits of it creeping onto the car towards the end of last year so that they could, test one or two pieces of it, sort of see how it would work. But yeah, McLaren are the only team going into 2021 with an entirely new car. There is an interview, I think I mentioned it last week. There's an interview on YouTube with James Allison where he basically says it's very strange for Mercedes not to be building a 100% new car and just sort of carrying bits from the old car and sort of putting them ready for assembly in the new car.
I'll be interested to see what Alpine can do, because that car was strong at certain times last year, and maybe Alonso can turn a third into a second or a fourth into a third. I'm just not 100% sure about wins, because when it comes to actual grunts, he's still got two Mercedes to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, that regardless of where they ended up in the championship, towards the end of the year, that Renault was the third best car on the grid.
Definitely, and
I don't know. I think
it was helped with.
I think the Racing Point maybe was.
I mean, the Renault was helped being further up by the fact that there was only one of the two Red Bull drivers that could actually handle the car. So you kind of gain a position from that, because
no, I mean, Red Bull was clearly a better car, but I think between that the McLaren, Renault, and Racing Point, I think the Renault ended up the better of those cars, like towards the last few races.
Oh yeah, it certainly was a lot stronger by the end of the season. That they had developed it, and just the improvements from 2019.
I think it was probably of those three, it was probably the most consistent, certainly towards like the last third of the season. So Racing Point had the odd race where they were really good, and then sort of fell back, and you were like, "What the fuck's going on here?" Whereas Renault were pretty solidly in the same neck of the woods.
I still say with the new back end for the Racing Point though, especially if Mercedes managed to be like tripping over themselves a little bit, that Vettel with a more planted rear end of his car is the dark horse of this championship.
I thought Alonso was going to be the dark horse of the championship and win races and win the title, according to you. I don't know why.
Two dark horses.
No. If that's what I want, but I mean, like the honest thing is, like I think Alonso will get podiums, maybe win a race. But 2022, on the other hand, I think there's a chance for any of the top guys to win a championship in 2022. But you're like, I think Vettel's going to be really strong in the Racing Point. I think that car's going to fix the issues that Vettel's had with the what's it called?
With the red car.
The Ferrari.
Car, yeah.
Well, I mean, the issues that Vettel had with the red car was the rear end wasn't planted, and half the time was where the front end should be.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't planted. There's also rumours of a new team looking to come into F1, according to race fans. Monaco F1 racing team, so it's not backed by the hard-to-find energy drink or Stefan Grand Prix. There's a name that keeps getting...
Stefan
Or
Grand
the-
Prix.
Yeah, they were the Romanian bunch that kept reappearing.
Was it Romanian? I thought they were Slovakian.
Possibly Slovakian. Yeah, there was I can remember around about the time that Caterham, Marussia, and the other one, HRT, came into Formula One. That there was a Romanian or Eastern European team sniffing around. They may have been Slovakian, but yeah. So a Monaco-based Formula One team possibly in the works.
Yeah, there's a guy called Salvatore Gandolfo, which
Wonderful name.
he's one of the
Take
main.
a minute to
He
appreciate
sounds like
that.
an extra from The Sopranos.
I think he was one of the main characters in the Italian translation of Lord of the Rings. He was the founder of a management company, Monaco Increase Management, with such clients as Pascal Wehrlein and Alex Palou. Or Palou, is it? I can never remember how you pronounce his name.
In IndyCar, he's
Hello.
become Palou, but I think that's just Americans saying it wrong. I think it is Palau.
Right. Okay.
Palau sounds correct.
So he's looking to put a team together, starting next year, leaving it a bit bloody late.
It's not going to happen.
Because Stefano Domenicali has said that the $200 million, it's now called an anti-dilution fee, not an entry fee.
Anti-dilution fee.
Yeah, it gets split. It gets split amongst the existing 10 teams to make up for the lack of revenue they'll get with an 11th team on the grid.
Right.
Have they employed Ron Dennis to start doing the words again?
I mean, it sounds like Ron speak.
It sounds like a bung to me, this.
What, an Italian businessman paying a bung? That would never happen. So, yeah, apparently they're looking to get something going soon. So we could see Princess Pascal back. Don't all cheer at
So
once.
they can feel the excitement for that. Looked it up, by the way. Stefan Grand Prix,
Bad Formula
Serbian.
One driver.
Oh, Serbian.
Serbian.
Still Eastern European. But they're also being... they're all...
Are Panthera also looking at joining?
Who, sorry?
Panthera.
Panthera Team Asia
That
have
rings a
been talking
bell.
about joining in 2022 as well, haven't they?
Yeah, they've gone really quiet. There's been nothing come out of them for the last few months. I'd forgotten about that.
I'm only referring to them as Pantera.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, Panthera Team Asia sounds like an anime cartoon, which involves like schoolgirls being like action heroes,
Morphing into panthers.
yeah,
That's-
and then
that's-
riding
that's-
mechs around.
That's all of them, isn't it?
Yeah.
But this Monaco team, apparently it's going to be run by Daniele Ordetto, who was the managing director of Super Aguri.
Right, so Pascal Wehrlein and Super Aguri. It's not a great, background to be going in with, but I mean, I suppose everyone's got to start somewhere.
Yeah, Eddie Jordan started selling carpets out the back of his car behind his day job to fund his team.
I was going to go somewhere else with that, but yeah, okay.
Then he put one on his head. Was that what we were going for?
Yes.
But yeah, I've not heard anything from Panthera or Pantera in a while.
Quiet from a quick Google search.
I was going to say you're the one with the active internet device, Sean. Have you got anything on them?
Yeah, it would appear the £200 million waiver fee got discussed in relation to Panthera, and then they seem to have disappeared.
got the bluff calls like, oh no, shit, we actually think we're going to do it.
So Pantera decided to walk.
They did.
Is that a
I was going to say.
joke?
Yeah, of course it is, and it's an apt joke. I was going to go down the road of like if they decided that they were going to sign up for a Mercedes power unit, would they also be showing a vulgar display of power?
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to get.
Isn't there still talk of Audi coming in? Isn't that been sort of talked?
Yeah,
about
they're on the fringes. Well, what's funny is Stefano Domenicali was at Audi, wasn't he? After Ferrari, and before he joined Formula One, he was at Audi, and Volkswagen were interested in joining Formula One as an engine supplier before Dieselgate, just as Dieselgate was happening. When was that? 2017, 2016? Around then sometime?
About then, yeah, I think. It was certainly while we've been going.
Yeah, and now Volkswagen have ploughed all of their resources into doing electric now. So I wouldn't be surprised to see, a VW Formula E team, unless there already is one, in the very near future. But Audi is, possibly the branch of the Volkswagen group that could enter Formula One. Now, of course, Domenicali's got the contacts. He was the head of their racing group for about 3 or 4 years, it must have been. So the rumors are swirling that they are also on the verges of wanting to enter when the engine freeze stops, or rather when the engine formula changes. But when that changes is subject to all the current teams in Formula One coming to an agreement. Some say it's going to be the end of 2025, which is when it's actually supposed to be. Some say that's going to be extended to 2027 or 2028. So that's a long, long way away at the moment.
I mean, I guess it depends on how much Red Bull get the way with the engine freeze, because they want it for as long as possible so they can buy the Honda technology. Can I hear somebody just watch? Danny,
Is someone about to explode?
It's not me at all.
I can hear ticking.
Yeah.
No.
It stopped, so someone's about to go up.
There was someone typing.
No.
Anyway, Audi.
Right, carry on.
Yeah. I got off.
Yeah, I think it'd be good to see a new manufacturer in Formula One. To be honest with you, Volkswagen Group haven't had I don't think they've ever had a presence in Formula One, as far as I'm aware. Might be wrong.
There was Porsche engines in the McLaren.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. There was those, weren't there? Yeah, Porsche engines. Yes, aside from that,
although they were, I think McLaren had some kind of fallout, and in true form, when you fall out with your engine supplier, you rebrand it Tag Heuer, which is what McLaren did.
Of course. Yeah, it was McLaren Tag, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm doing a quick Google, so if you do hear ticking this time, it is me actually.
Bit of news on ex-drivers now. Peugeot have launched their WEC hypercar lineup for 2022.
This is very keen.
Yes.
It is.
This is a season that will start in
keen.
May. Is it May their season starts? April, May?
Yeah.
It's over a year in advance.
This is the most Trump news of any motorsport ever, because they put their announcement out roughly, what was it, about 15 minutes before Mercedes announced Lewis Hamilton?
If that, yes. It was not well timed by Peugeot.
So, just in case you missed it, amongst our lineup will be K-Mag, Paul di Resta and Jean-Eric Vergne. It's a real what might have been.
Yeah, it's a sort of solid, average, recent-ish F1 driver rejects, isn't it?
Do you know what it sounds like to me?
There's a few other drivers as well, isn't there?
It sounds like a team solid enough to win a WEC championship.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's exactly what they've gone with.
Yeah, they've got the seven drivers in total. There's Loic Duval as well, who was in a Le Mans winning team.
He was in the Alan McNish, Tom Christensen Audi, so I think he was also in the team.
And I think he's done a little bit of Formula E as well, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. I think he might still be with Audi, because Audi do have a Formula E team, do they not?
Possibly. And somebody called James Rossiter, who apparently tested...
Nope, not a clue.
He tested a Honda in the 2000s.
Yeah, not familiar with Mr. Rossiter. Not that one, anyway.
No.
Leonard Rossiter, yes.
I don't think it's that one.
Guy Armstrong. Another one we're all familiar
Yes.
with.
Yes, I know. Yeah, I know that one. Yeah. And Mark,
Yeah.
but not James.
I only know Stretch Armstrong.
We weren't doing Armstrongs, were we?
No, we weren't.
Wrong. I thought you said Armstrong.
No, Rossiter.
You said Armstrong. You said Armstrong after Rossiter.
Yes, it did say Armstrong, yeah, but it's a precursor to Rossiter.
Ah. I know none of these people.
So James Rossiter, very confusing.
Yeah, James Rossiter, who we don't know, and apparently we don't know his family either, and he might even be called Armstrong. As far as
Dan, do
we
you know James Rossiter?
I do not know.
Anyway, Peugeot now have a team for next year. We just haven't seen the car yet. I don't think they have either.
Nice color scheme though. That black with that like bright lime, like lime greeny kind of yellowy color.
It's like
looks quite cool.
It's like Brawn After Dark.
And
Yeah, I quite like it.
And now Lee's suddenly interested.
Which for 24-hour racing, a sort of, a nightimey vibe is cool.
Yeah, dark mode brawn.
Now, I'm looking forward to WEC season this year, just to find out what the difference these hypercars are going to bring to it.
Is it this year or next year they start that?
Some are starting this year. Toyota have got theirs.
Got you. Okay.
One of the teams is entering a Rebellion LMP1 that's been modified to the new standards. And there's another.
Right, okay.
There's a sort of privateerish team building. I think they're building their own from scratch. So I would like to congratulate Toyota on winning another WEC title.
Yeah, pretty much. I've got the. I know it's a little bit slow, but I've got the 12 brands that come under the Volkswagen Group. So there is quite a large contingent here, which could be from. You could use as motorsport entry in pretty much any formula, including motorcycles. We've got, obviously, Volkswagen, and then Audi, Seat, Skoda, Bentley, Bugatti, Lamborghini, Porsche, Ducati, and then Volkswagen commercial vehicles, Scania, and MAN trucks. So you could even get into truck racing.
Now let's see, get the Scania F1 entry. That's what the people want to see.
I didn't know. I'd forgotten they owned Bentley.
Bugatti and Lamborghini. I forgot about Lamborghini being part of the Volkswagen Group as well.
And of course, we've had Lamborghini in Formula One before with very little success.
Well, they were going to power McLaren, weren't they, after Honda, but then that didn't work.
Then it was that bad that McLaren went with Peugeot instead.
Yeah.
You know, you can either...
No, they went with Ford first. I think they went with Ford for 93 and then went with Peugeot for 94 before finally going to sign for Mercedes, which then, the rest is history.
It kind of worked after that. I think that's about it for sort of all the newsy stuff this week, isn't it? I don't think there's anything more.
Oh, Mazepin flag. was the other one.
Yes, he's not allowed to race under his national flag, is he?
He or any Russian driver is not allowed to compete in a world championship under the Russian flag or have the Russian anthem played if they are on the podium. All part of Russia's big drugs ban worldwide.
So they're not representing Russia. Who are they representing?
They are an independent athlete or some bollocks like that. I think they're allowed to have a vague reference to Russia on their uniform, but it cannot be bigger than reference to them being an unaffiliated independent.
You mean like that massive sponsorship logo that Mazepin's got for Moscow State University?
Yeah, can't have that. You cannot have the two-headed eagle, the Russian emblemy thing.
Okay.
Can't have that. The Russian Grand
Can't
Prix
have the three bands of colour. The
can't
white,
have the three
red
bands
and blue,
of colour.
no?
The Russian Grand Prix itself will not be allowed to have the anthem on the Putin parade.
So if it's not called the Russian Grand Prix, where is it held?
I think
is it the global Grand
I
Prix?
think it is called the Russian Grand Prix still, but it's not allowed to have the Russian anthem. So yeah, this is all lots of complicated fun.
Has this happened before, ever?
It's-
Like when a country is banned from like World Championships?
Yeah, the last Olympics.
The last Olympics, all the Russian athletes were
OIR.
independent. Yeah, they were all the what was it? The
Olympic athletes
athletic-
from Russia.
Yeah.
But that's a competition. Do you know what I mean? That's obviously a big competition.
Yeah.
Yeah, but to have a country banned for, because I take it this is just a blanket professional sport world championship ban, is it?
Yes, so we don't know
So
yet
has
whether
this
it
ever
will...
happened before?
I don't know, actually. It's unclear as well whether it will apply to F2 and F3 because they're not sort of your top tier world championship.
They're not
technically
they're not
not
world
world-
championships, are they?
Yeah, so yeah, they're not sure whether that's
No,
going to
even though
apply
they are
there.
global sports.
Yes, so there's a bit of confusion there. So it's all good technical fun.
I'm not sure I agree with it.
It's a tricky
I
one,
get-
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I get that if a country has been cheating at a sport, that they should be punished for that. You know, if they've been doing something wrong, then those individuals that were cheating should be punished in that particular discipline. But I'm not sure. To be perfectly honest, if it's not want to throw the R word around too often, it's a bit racist or it's a bit countryist.
No, it's not. It's because
No, it is,
Russia
'cause
was supposed to abide. They were supposed to abide by a
but
certain set of rules.
You're tarring every individual with that one misdemeanor.
Yeah, but it was state sponsored. That was the thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine.
No.
But you can't but it's not every single. It has. If it was going on globally in every single championship or every single event in every single thing that Russians were involved in, fine. But it's not. It seems like
no, but if you remember
you're
Danny
punishing
Kvyat was allowed to race under the Russian flag last year, and the year before. That's fine, but it's to do with, and I'm not entirely au fait with exactly what's happened, but Russia was supposed to have agreed and adhered to a certain set of rules based on the last ban that they got in 2017, and they haven't adhered to those rules. So now they're not allowed any representation in any global sport. It's because they keep breaking the rules. It's not like you've broken the rules, therefore every Russian has broken the rules.
Ban Russians from global sport. If you're going to do it properly. Ban Russians from global sport.
So I think the exemption they made for the Olympics was Russians who were not based in Russia were all allowed to compete as independent athletes because they were geographically separate from this state-sponsored doping debacle. So I think the only athlete they had was one who happened to be based in Florida. So I imagine with Mazepin, because I think does he live in London?
Yeah,
he goes to uni in London or something like that. So he'll be.
He got pulled up for speeding in Brackley.
Yeah. So he'll be.
He ran a red light.
So yeah, he'll be able to say, "Well, I'm not in Russia. They're not giving me anything." So that will be his defense.
Yeah, I think what it comes down to is that because it was state sponsored and Russia wouldn't.
Let's be honest here.
Give the details of what they did. So it's every sport that has signed up to the World Anti-Doping Authority.
Yeah, but if it made sense, we wouldn't be having such a convoluted conversation about it. Do you know what I mean? There's
But
so many
it does make
and
sense.
and buts. Yeah, but
It does make sense if it's a state-sponsored program. You obviously can't punish athletes who haven't been found to do anything wrong, but they're trying to punish the country. So what they're doing is taking away the glory of those athletes winning any event for being reflected on the country. So it does seem like a sensible way to handle it.
But I think you're going to end up hurting
Agreed,
the
Dan.
athletes. But you're going to end up hurting the athletes anyway, aren't you? Because if the state aren't getting any recognition for those athletes doing well, then those athletes are going to get less state money.
That's the point, though. The athletes who get state money can't compete. It's only independent athletes who are away from Russia anyway.
Right. I don't. It's
It's a technical minefield. It really is.
Yeah, it just because you say it's a fucking Eddie Izzard sketch. Do you have a flag? You know, it's just because you say you're not allowed to say you're Russian doesn't make you stop being Russian.
No, but like Dan said,
Russian
it
people are
takes the
still
glory
people.
away from the country. So if Mazepin is successful in Formula One, and none of the glory would be like, there'll be no Russian flag, there'll be no Russian anthem, but Mazepin will still have the individual attainment of, whatever it is, podium or whatever, however far he gets. A little bit far-fetched given that he's in a Haas. But the exposure is still there for the athletes who haven't done anything wrong, but it's taken away for the country who were state sponsoring cheating in sports.
Yeah.
That's why it's for.
I just want to see Mazepin top step of the podium at some point this season, and they don't know what to do about the anthem, so they just play Never Gonna Give You Up.
I reckon he should get to pick. He should get to pick like his own song and design his own random flag. I think there's a whole...
I'd go for Stone Cold Steve Austin's entrance music.
There you go, you see? There's a whole area for independent Russian athletes to explore.
That'll be interesting. Right, I think that's it for the newsy stuff. Now we did sort of...
Are we doing multiple shunts?
I was going to say we did tease a bit of a shunt special, and I've got one that I would like to do before Lee throws one in. Because
we've done like a proper episode anyway, so I'll just save mine till like future episodes, and we'll just do yours if you want.
I was going to say we're only sort of 58 minutes in. We've probably got time for two. I
do have one.
I also have one
In
which
that
I
case,
wrote myself.
Right, multi-shunt. Tell you what, everybody but Lee does a shunt.
Crazy.
Okie dokie.
I should have brought one, shouldn't I?
We brought enough for everybody.
I think 3 is enough for anybody. I can hear the people turning the podcast off now as we speak.
Hey, you're kidding, aren't you? The number of tweets and other messages I've got saying, "Are you doing the shunt special?"
I see.
And apparently I have to do. Apparently I have to do another Andy Murray impression at some point tonight, so I might do that. I might do my shunt as Andy Murray.
Excellent.
Can't wait for that one. Right, I've got one here. Regular friend of the show and iRacer Travis Dorado sent this one in, and I'm really looking forward to hearing some of the reactions to some of these questions.
This bodes well.
Right, starting off in traditional fashion. I was born
Yay.
in May 1920.
Yes.
In May 1923.
Back in the day.
So a young.
Okay, that's.
Someone
Bernie
who will be-
Eccleston's age.
So someone who potentially is 98 this year.
I think I know who it is already.
Excellent.
Oh, wow.
Strong start.
Okay.
Wow.
Right. Okay. I'm going to. Can I throw away our first guess?
After the first clue is controversial.
May 1923.
Yeah.
If it's a person, I think it might be Louis Chiron.
Oh.
Okay, we'll bear that in mind.
My trivia on Louis Chiron is minimal, so if it is, I'm going to be feckle use for the rest of these clues, I fear.
Right. Okay, second clue. My first race was on an Indian chief and ended by crashing into another racer head on?
It's probably not Louis Chiron.
It's a time traveling Pastor Maldonado.
It sounds like not a successful racing career.
After flying bombers in World War II, I became a race mechanic, crew chief, and owner for multiple teams in both NASCAR and Indy. And normally I'd say, "Can I have your first guess, please?" But Chris has already
We've had a first.
Yeah.
Chris has already thrown it out there. Right. Fourth clue. I am best known for being innovative in development of cars and for bending the rules.
Interesting.
Ferrari.
I once put a basketball into an oversized fuel tank for scrutineering. I then deflated it and pulled it out and filled the tank up.
Could definitely be Ferrari, to be fair.
Yeah.
Another trick of mine was to use 11 feet coils of 2-inch diameter tubing for the fuel line to add an extra 5 gallons to the car's fuel capacity.
Fucking
Is this Dick Dastardly?
And I will need a guess.
Dick Dastardly's the best I've got, guys.
That does sound like a solid guess to me. Ferrari and Dick Dastardly of similar strategies. Oh, sorry.
It's I'm going to be so bad at this. I'm so much better at just reading them out. My only other one would be like Jason from Jason and the Wheeled Warriors.
Right, clue number 7. During tech inspection, NASCAR gave me a list of 11 things wrong with the car and then drained and pulled the fuel cell out, claiming the car was illegal. With the fuel cell still out of the car, I jumped in, started it and drove it back to the shop.
So the fuel cell was just there for decoration then.
I love the idea of they took the fuel cell out because they accused me of cheating because it was because
So I got in and drove away.
Yeah. You'll never catch me.
Do you think the scrutineers were there with a fuel cell in their hands and like watching him drive off like, hang on a second, boys.
Motherfucker.
I've been known to bring unique cars to Indy, including a car with an upside-down engine and the side saddle car.
Ooh, the side saddle car. That sounds painful.
Sounds sexy.
Different takes on that then.
A side saddle sounds like one of those Victorian love chairs.
Right, clue number 9. There's 11 altogether, so I'll have a guess after clue 9. There's genuinely no spaffer in here.
I was going to say, usually the tradition is 10 plus spaffer, is it not? What is this?
No, this is 11, and believe me, none of them are spaffers. Clue 9. Some of my contributions include developing the original Chevy small block engine, designing early safer walls, first person to run aero at Indy, safer fuel cells, and alternative fuel sources like hydrogen, fuel vapour, and animal fat.
Nuclear power.
Animal fat.
And inventing an engine test bench that is still used today.
Inventing what? Sorry, a test bench.
An engine test bench that is still used today.
Melting animals down as fuel. Is it Dr. Robotnik?
Is that your guess?
I'm
I've got nothing better.
yeah, same.
I want to say somebody American who has got a name to do with fuel. Someone like Pennzoil or
I thought you were just going to leave
Texaco.
it. I thought you were just going to leave it at an American who's got a name.
You know, Flood, I'd like to say somebody that isn't a fictional cartoon character, but here we are.
Dick Dastardly's American, right?
We think so. Right. Despite being 2-time Mechanic of the Year, 2-time Championship Crew Chief, winning multiple races as crew chief, including 9 Hall of Fame drivers, and in over a dozen different Hall of Fames. I have never been nominated for the NASCAR Hall of Fame.
It's because he couldn't leave his house without cheating. Fuck.
Right, Lee, now you know how we feel.
No, this is the hardest one ever. Surely.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult, isn't it?
I
Yeah.
still think the hardest one ever
Not
was
so easy without the answer in front of you, is it?
No, it's not.
Ralph Schumacher's ex-wife is still, I think, the hardest one ever.
I don't know, Xena Warrior Princess was up there.
Yeah, that was pretty
I'd
difficult.
forgotten about- and what's his face's glass eye?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got
Oh,
that.
yeah,
we got
but,
that
Paul
one.
got that one.
We got
Did
that
get
one.
Yeah,
glass
yeah.
eye.
Right, what I guess counts as a spaffer, because it's the last clue. As a teen, racing my motorcycle, the engine smoked so heavily the track announcer gave me my nickname and it stuck with me for the rest of my life.
Smoky Joe.
I missed that you did break up a little bit there, so can you just repeat that one?
Yeah, as a teen, riding my motorcycle, the engine smoked so much that the track announcer gave me my nickname and it stuck with me for the rest of my life.
No, I've got nothing.
No.
I reckon Lee was pretty close with Smokey Joe, to be perfectly honest with you.
You going? Is that what you're going for?
I don't
Let's
think
go
we've-
Smoky Joe.
Yeah, I don't think we've got anything else.
You are so close. Smokey Eunuch.
Who?
Henry
Fuck.
Henry Smokey Eunuch.
Oh, I wish it just said Smokey.
Eunuch?
It's spelled Y-U-N-I-C-K.
Look at how it's spelled. Can't call him a eunuch.
Maybe that's why he's smoking.
Couldn't feel the burn.
Oh shit! Now there's a cat.
Yeah, apparently he was innovative and very, very cheaty. According to Travis, his biography is 1,100 pages long.
Right.
And there's an episode of Dinner with Races on Amazon Prime about him, which I really need to watch if he's been doing things like the basketball trick. And there's going to be more besides. So nice one, Trav, for sending that one in. You
Yeah, that's cool. I like
Yeah.
that one.
you stumped us.
Yeah.
I'll find the Amazon link and put that one up. Right, Sean, Chris, who's going next?
Shall I? I can go. So this is one I wrote.
Yeah, can do.
I wrote on the basis that I hadn't been sent any, so I thought I'd better cobble something together to contribute. Sorry, there's now a cat all up in my business, which is fun. You will either get this very early or not at all, I suspect. So,
Dick Dastardly.
it's not Dick Dastardly. I will rule him out now.
Don't waste that vital first guess, Lee.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
I think so.
Let me just check I've written.
Dan, are you ready?
Just checking
I am
I've
ready.
actually written the right number of clues. Yes, I have. I was born
Yay.
in this century.
Right. So
Okay,
somebody fairly young.
I was
okay.
I
Yes,
was-
very young.
I was first spotted in the F1 paddock in pre-season testing in 2013.
Aged 13.
There was that picture, wasn't there, the other day of George Russell with Lewis Hamilton when he was a kid. That would have
Russell
been
born in this century? He's older than 21, isn't he?
Yeah, I think.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think he is. How long's Kimoa been a brand?
I don't know.
I know that kid Alonso's looking good, but he's a bit older than that.
Next clue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My parents were both champions. And I'll be looking for a guess
Max
here.
Verstappen. Yeah, Max Verstappen's parents were both champions, weren't they?
What year did the Mercedes-Benz team start as a team?
2010.
What do we not count Mercedes as like old Silver Arrows Mercedes? No.
No, I'm trying to think of teams who started
As in-
in 2013. But
I
yeah,
don't know that any team started in 2013.
well, first seen in the Formula One paddock in pre-season testing in 2013. Could be a new team.
Oh yeah, of course. So you think you've seen it on track in 2013?
Yeah.
I don't think there was any new teams in 2013.
Well, when did Haas come in?
2016.
Looking for a guess.
I've got nothing better than Kimoa.
I'm still backing George Russell being just young enough for this.
Depends what.
How would that fit in with parents both being champions?
Don't know what they've done. Maybe there's a random fact.
I mean, it's this quiz. Random facts are pretty much the name of the game. Are you wanting to go with Russell or?
I have nothing better than Russell.
Yeah, I've got no more.
Okay. Number 4. I was due to attend my first F1 race at Bahrain in 2013, but illness meant I didn't appear until Spain 2013.
So it's a thing.
Oh, is it the current podium that just replaced a few steps with some flagpoles on it? The one with all
What?
the actual the podium that they use, because now they've got a standardised podium for all races, and it used to be different at every one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea.
But yeah, but sorry, Sean, will you repeat the clue, please?
Yes, I was due to attend my first F1 race at Bahrain in 2013, but illness meant I didn't appear until Spain 2013.
I've never seen a podium that's got sick.
Clue number 5?
Yes.
My name appeared on an F1 car in December 2020.
Is it Roscoe the dog?
Oh, that's a shout. Oh no, because what? No, because how old would Roscoe? Would that make Roscoe?
About 8.
Well, first seen in the
Yeah,
I was born this century, and was first seen in the paddock in pre-season testing 2013. There's no way Ron's McLaren would have allowed a dog at McLaren. So his first race at Mercedes, he joins Mercedes in 2013, brings his dogs with him. I think it's Roscoe.
And of course, at the last race of the season, Mercedes had everyone connected with the car's name on the car, including Roscoe Dog.
I will say though that usually those dogs are on their way out at that age, aren't they? You don't get a great inning out of a bulldog.
Well, this has taken an upsetting turn, hasn't it?
They're not the greatest of survivors.
You've got one more.
What do you mean?
I don't think they've got a long life expectancy.
You got one more clue before
Roscoe's still around.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But I don't know what year he got him. I'm not sure he got him in 2013.
I would say so, about then.
You have one.
Yeah, sorry, go on, Sean.
You've got one more clue before you have to do a guess. If you
want
clue number 6. I'm just going to clear my throat because I am croaking. In 2015, Sebastian Vettel said, I helped him secure a race win over Lewis Hamilton.
Because he would have kept Hamilton up all night, and Hamilton was tired the following day.
Yeah, I think it could be Roscoe.
Maybe.
You're going to go for Roscoe as your guess?
Yeah, I reckon that is a good one.
I think so.
Yeah, well, it's probably not George Russell.
Having a situation with the podcat here.
What is it? Dizzy stuck.
What year did you say that was?
In 2015, Vettel.
Yeah, if it was keeping him up all night, that puts Hamilton in a terrible position. That really tarnishes his character if it was George Russell.
He might have been reading bedtime stories to him.
Right. Next clue.
Yes, quickly. Somebody's hissing.
Clue number 7. I am active on social media and have almost 300,000 followers on Instagram.
It's Roscoe.
I would think so.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Number 8. Away from F1, I am a part-time model.
Yep. Nothing to
I
dissuade
don't
me
know
here.
about that, but okay.
Yes.
It's got an Instagram account, therefore it's a model.
So have I.
Part-time model, there you go.
Yay!
Clue number 9. My hobbies include tennis and frisbee.
Easy things for a dog to catch. Even if you are a bulldog with a forehead that bounces off your bottom lip.
I contest this because merely catching a tennis ball in your mouth does not necessarily mean you're playing tennis.
Andy Murray got a knighthood for doing that.
It's fair. I stand down.
Money.
Clue number 10.
Oh, hang on. I think I heard a hint of Andy Murray there.
No, we don't want to peek too soon.
Yeah, you did. Andy Murray. I also think it's Roscoe the dog.
10th clue.
Yeah.
I am a member
Can't
of
be
the...
anyone else.
I am a member of the Mercedes team, and my tasks have included attending press conferences and a takeover on the team's Instagram.
Chris / Andy Murray, you got this one first. Do you want to ask the question?
Yeah, are you Roscoe the dog?
I am Roscoe the dog.
Yay!
Yeah,
Good shout.
parents champions, not in motorsport, obviously.
Oh yeah, because of course pedigree dogs, they always have the parents'
Yep.
names, and if the parents win a like a Crufts or something, they get to call them. It's like, I don't know, champion left foot housebrick Pepperami the Third or something.
Quite. So yeah, the
If I
tennis.
get a dog, I'm calling it house brick.
Lee, just for you, the tennis bit, that is a direct quote from the Roscoe Instagram. He does claim that his hobbies include tennis.
Right, okay. I'm not gonna lie. I'm questioning this.
Skepticism.
Right, Flood, you are up next, and if this one isn't Dick Dastardly or at least Muttley, Lee's going to be upset.
I was born
Yay!
1936.
So we know it's not Smokey Unic right from the off.
I think we've had enough smoky unit for one night.
Yeah, 3's my limit.
I started racing in 1960.
Okay, started racing at 24. There wasn't as many go-karts around in those days.
There was a bit of a war as well, got in the way.
I first drove in Britain for Ken Tyrrell.
Criminies, that could be any number of drivers.
I mean, back in the day, was that not the equivalent of I've drove for Carling?
Yeah.
It just, at some point, it will have happened. 1960.
I know an electrician that works for Carlin.
What time did he do in his Silverstone test?
I can hear a cat.
Might
Not
be
mine.
Dizzy.
I've got none near me.
I've got Dizzy on my lap, so it might be her.
Be dizzy.
My
I
microphone.
need a guess.
It's not Dizzy.
Jackie Hicks.
Why not?
Seems to be about the right age.
I have,
Ready for clue 4?
Yeah, I have nothing better.
Yeah.
Anyone else got? Dan, you got anything else?
Nothing to add at the moment.
Is it Roscoe?
Sorry, Bruno's just punched me in the nads.
Smoky eunuch. Oh shit! There's a little
I would
bit
go
of
on the
a
lines of
situation.
vapey eunuch.
I feel something's going on.
Bruno,
Yeah, vapey eunuch.
Bruno has just stamped on Paul's bits, and yeah.
Do we need to take a break?
I'll be right.
I think he's
right.
coming too. I think he's coming too.
Oh, there are actually tears in my eyes.
I think we're okay.
Clue 4.
I drove the famous Papaya McLaren M8D, winning the Can-Am Cup.
Right, now, Lee, we've seen this car.
We have seen this car.
In the flesh, as it were.
Would that be... Would Bruce McLaren have driven that?
I don't know if he ever actually drove in Can-Am.
Whose car was it? Because whose name was on it when we were there?
Denny Hulme, I think.
Was it?
I think it was.
See, I thought it was Bruce McLaren's car. Because the Papaya one is the one with the high rear wing, wasn't it?
No, it was the sports car looking Papaya one next to
The
it.
sports car looking one.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I think that was Denny Hulme in that case.
Clue 5. My last race was in 1992.
It wasn't Bruce McLaren. Because he would have been around by then, would he?
I think the same for Denny Hume. I think he'd have been dead by then.
No, I think he died in Bathurst.
He died doing a race, yeah.
In Bathurst in the I'm sure it was in the 90s.
Now, we've had Denny Hume before, and he was pimped as the first F1 champion to die of natural causes. And I think James Hunt died before 92 of natural causes. So I think Hume must have died before that.
Clue 6. I got an OBE for motorsports in 1992.
Could be James Hunt. No.
No, I think he died
No,
1990 or 91.
And if James Hunt had have driven that Papaya McLaren, we'd have already seen that more.
That is true. That is true.
Especially when Button and Hamilton were in McLaren, and you had the whole British McLaren vibe that was bouncing around so much.
Yeah.
There's no way you couldn't have seen a Hunt in a Papaya McLaren as well.
No, that is true. So it's going to be somebody not necessarily British. There could be Australian or Kiwi as well. Because I know anyone from the Commonwealth's entitled to get.
They're
an
the
OBE.
same thing, aren't they?
Checks listener numbers. Yeah, no, maybe. I don't know. I'm still thinking. Thinking possibly Denny Hulme.
I think he was dead by then. But I don't have anything necessarily better to offer.
I've got nothing better to offer.
So you're going for that second guess?
Yeah, unless Dan.
Why not?
Okay.
No, I've got nothing more.
7. I drove for Brabham in Formula 1.
So did a lot of people.
Number 8. I won the Monaco GP.
Right. Okay. So did a lot of people.
I did.
So we can rule Damon Hill out because he drove for Brabham but never won Monaco.
He would also be very old. When he
And
started
raced
racing.
after 1992.
Who else? Right. So which drivers could have driven for Brabham and McLaren?
Nicky Lauda drove for both of them.
What about Brabham? Is he too old?
I think Jack Brabham died before 1992.
No, I think he died quite a bit after, did he not?
Oh, I thought he died during the
Jack Brabham was I think Jack Brabham was alive up until quite
Yeah,
recently.
he
I'm just
died
gonna,
in the last 5-10 years.
not to squash my own shunt, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that's.
Did he drive for McLaren? Not you, Flood. That would be giving it away. But did he drive for McLaren? Because this is the thing about you saying the Hume or whatever it is. I've never heard his name, but I'm convinced when we were looking at all the McLarens when we were there, I'm convinced I knew the name of of the drivers that were on the classic McLaren cars. That's the thing as well. They're display cars. So you're going to have the display cars are going to be your big names. And for someone like me that isn't a particularly like up on like motorsport history, it would have to be like a Hunt or a Brabham or something like that for me to get it.
This is why in the McLaren Technology Centre in the Boulevard of Cars there isn't a K-Mag McLaren.
Yes.
How old would Sterling Moss have been when he died?
I think he was about 90. Very close to 90.
I'm edging towards Jack Brabham here. Would that race in that McLaren have been before there was a Brabham team?
Potentially.
So he could have.
He could have done something for McLaren before setting up his own.
That,
yeah,
and then later on started Brabham.
Yeah, and we're forgetting the Tyrrell link as well.
I'm going Jack Brabham.
What clue are we on?
What day is it?
I can't remember if we've got more information coming or not.
Well, it must be Tuesday. There was news earlier. Flood, are you still there?
It's been 80 years.
Oh my god, this is going to be infinite suspense if he's got disconnected.
He's gone. He's back.
It's all right. Reload my screen. I'm back. Don't worry.
Oh, fucking hell.
Dan hasn't chimed in for a little bit. What are you saying, Dan?
I have absolutely no clue who this could be, I'm afraid.
Do you want clue number 9?
Yes.
Yes, please.
I died after an accident in a BMW M3.
Jack Brabham, innit? Didn't Jack Brabham die in a car accident on on the road?
I thought he just died of being old.
I think he might have died of being old in a car.
But I think Denny Hume was driving a BMW
Yes.
when he died.
He was definitely driving because it was in the middle of the Bathurst 1000.
It was. Which I dispute as being natural causes, by the way, from whoever it was who sent us the thing last time.
He had a heart attack and crashed, and he was dead when they got to him, so they don't know if it was the crash or the heart attack that killed him.
I think it was the race
Who
that
died
triggered.
going to get chips? Who died going to get chips for the kids?
I don't know that one.
I
I'm not
think
up on
it
all the
was-
deaths.
Was that Mike Hailwood?
That was Mike Hailwood, yeah. That was
See,
Mike
is that what
Hailwood.
he was
it's
doing?
Mike Hailwood I was thinking of.
He was ill
Sorry,
anyway,
yeah.
wasn't he? He had
Yeah.
like chronic kidney failure or something. And
Yeah, I think he only had about 2 years left.
Clue number 10. I was
I'm
the
sure
seventh
it's gone
Formula
cheery.
1 champion to die.
The first Formula 1 champion to die was that.
I was the 7th Formula 1 champion to die.
Was Hume a Formula 1 world champion?
yes.
Oh, right. Wow. I've never even heard his name.
There is a Spaffer, if you need it.
I think it is Hume.
Yeah, Denny Hulme. I'm sure of it.
I'll go with the majority. I'm still Jack Brabham.
But you're going with the majority. Dan, anything?
I'm happy to stick with the majority. I don't
The
have
majority-
enough knowledge, I'm afraid.
The majority said Denny Hulme is correct. Denny
Yay.
Hulme.
Yay!
The
Well done, majority.
The Spaffer clue, of course, being I'm the only Formula 1 world champion from New Zealand.
And I think will remain so for a little while yet.
There is a there is a
Yes.
damn good chance. I enjoyed doing that for a change. Lee, how do you feel after being shunted?
It was fine. I'm not a particularly good reader, but I'm still a better reader than I am a guesser. I mean, let's face it. When my best guesses were Eggman, like Jason from Jason and the Wheeled Warriors, and Dick Dastardly. You know, I was never going to walk away dripping in glory.
Cracking. Right, how would you send a total shunt in for a normal show?
I don't know, but I intend to go back to the team and we keep pushing. If you want to send me a total shunt, send it to me in a PM on Twitter at a total shunt, or you can send me a PM on Instagram at a total shunt.
And
it will arrive to my eyes.
And if you want to send wants to go on the spare emergency reserve, hang on, Lee's been an arsehole, let's get him back with this one list, which I think that's what it's now called, you can email it to threelegsfourwheels@gmail.com. Get us on the
That's
social.
a very long but very official name.
Get us on the socials at Three Legs Four Wheels on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And individually, we are
At Sean Cowper.
At Flood21.
go on, Dan. You know you can do it.
At Dan Dankleton.
And at Pablo100. Don't forget, there's a Patreon show as well. Patreon.com/threelegs4wheels. You can sign up from as little as $1, £1 or €1 a month. Gets you the extra show, complete with tonight's technical difficulties this week.
Proper behind the scenes job,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah. That was definitely the making of documentary tonight.
Extra Dan on tonight's Patreon.
Yes, Dan. Thank you for joining us this week.
It's been good to be back.
It's great to have you on, and we will be hearing you again in the not too distant future.
At some point, yes. Who knows?
I hope so.
We'll have to see what this crazy year brings.
Yeah.
We'll get in touch with your public agent because you're the secret agent.
Absolutely.
Right, we'll be back maybe next week. There'll probably be some news or something, but we'll get something out as soon as possible. Thanks for listening, and stay safe. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good laters.
Bye.
Bye.